Good morning. We are the Cola Guys, and I'm David.
I'm George.
We're the co-founders of the New Horizons team at Exit Palmetto Real Estate Services. We are in the real estate business, and we are here with our great friend Ruby this morning. She is the owner and founder of Ruby Red's Petcare, and we want to talk all things pet about real estate with you this morning, Ruby.
I said before this, if I give you a thumbs up, that means I think your idea is crap. I'm not in my head with a thumbs up.
Our good friend Ruby this morning. So good morning, Ruby.
Good morning.
How does that work? Does that look good to you? Yeah? We should have just kept going. So good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Or rather, paw-tastic.
That's right. You said you came in from taking care of somebody's cat this morning.
Yeah, I
right?
actually had to change my shirt because I was pretty furry, so I didn't want, just in case anyone was allergic to cats, he'd be sneezing throughout the
Just
whole
don't
time.
sit close to George.
Oh, are you also good thing I changed my shirt then? Okay.
So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and maybe a little bit how you got into the pet industry.
Yeah, sure. So I opened up Ruby Red's Petcare right before the pandemic of 2020.
Oh.
So I was in corporate America for over 20 years. I was in NEMT business, non-emergency medical transport. I felt at that time that it was time to move on to something else, so I quit without having a job.
So, where did you get the idea to start the pet business then?
Well,
from an EMT?
in my transition of looking for employment, I found this advertisement for dog walking, and I was like, oh, this exists. So I applied. I think around that time it was the gig economy was starting.
Okay.
So when I started doing the dog walking, I was like, oh, I kind of like this. And, just being outdoors, and, of course I love animals, and then my little corporate brain started working and starting to think about all the things that I could do better.
Yep.
And of course I'm a contracted, dog walker, so I can only do but so much. And I was like, you know what, if I still like this after 6 months, I'm gonna start my own. Because I always tell people, you might like to drink, but you may not make a good bartender. So I may like animals, but I may not like to take care of other people's animals. So yeah, so I did
fair.
it.
I'm the opposite. I like pets when they aren't mine.
So like, go back.
Yeah.
But yeah, after 6 months, I loved it, and during the entire time, I was just coming up with a game plan of, the type of services I wanted to offer my clients and how to do them, and and really the goal was to take care of the pets better than the parents.
Okay. That's fair.
So yeah, so January 2020, that's when Ruby Red's Petcare was born. So
Wow.
yeah, so here I am.
So here you are.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's great. So go from January 2020 to now, what does it look like for you?
It is very furry.
Yeah.
Very furry, sometimes slobbery. I get some bruises, and this is just the business, not the pets actually, not actually the pets. But it's, right now, in the pet sitting industry, between March and the end of August, beginning of September is vacation season.
Okay.
So that's when folks really start booking, to go out of town. There's a lot of business travel, going on. So yeah, the demand is extremely high right now. So, but, it's just one pet at a time. You just focus on the one pet, so that way, you don't have to think about all of the fur balls that's going on outside of that, yeah. So, yeah, so it's super, super busy, so, I'm hiring.
You're hiring. I think everybody's hiring these days.
Yeah,
Can't find
looking for
anybody.
animal lovers.
Yeah. So let's get started maybe talking about pets and real estate a little bit. Like George and I were with clients yesterday, and the people that owned the house that we were looking at had pets, right? And so if you had some advice, like for people going into a house and that you're trying to sell their house or whatever, and they've got pets, what do you recommend somebody do with those pets while strangers are like prowling through your house?
So great question. So as far as when you're showing your home and you've got your pets in there,
Yep.
if hopefully they either have, A, a pet sitter,
Yeah.
or B, a doggy daycare, assuming that they're dogs. You
Yeah.
can always, they spend time during, a doggy daycare, so they're not at the home, and that way the new potential buyer, home buyer can go in and peacefully look around in the home. But I would definitely arrange, if you have a favorite pet sitter, or if you don't, to hire a pet sitter to come walk them around for a couple hours. I've actually done that before, where
Okay.
I've had clients who are preparing to sell their home and they need to take their pets out while the potential buyer is going in to tour the home. So I'll go in, take them out, or walk them around, the neighborhood, and the buyer can go in there and do what they need to do. So definitely prepare. I've had situations where there's kitties.
Yeah.
And it really depends on the kitty. Me as a home buyer, I've entered homes where there's kitties in there, and they just say, watch for the kitty, don't let the kitty out. So that's kind of dangerous, because if you don't know if luckily the seller knew that I was an animal lover, so it didn't bother me. I'm like, we play with the kitty. So, but for home buyers that may be allergic to cats or not very pet friendly, that's, you're kind of putting yourself in a hard position. So,
And cats can be fast too.
and cats can be fast.
Right.
So, yeah.
If a cat gets out of somebody's house, I don't know if I'm the person I want to be running out.
Right, you're gonna have to pop that can of tuna and start luring them
Hoping
in.
the air walks to it. Kitty.
So, but there are some pet sitters that do board in home,
Okay.
or there are some daycare facilities that do accept kitties to board. So that would be an idea, just to kind of board them for the time being, so that you can show your home peacefully.
Yeah.
So.
Well, all that's good advice, because number one, your pets are used to you, right? They're not used to random people just walking through the
Right.
house. Especially like with some recent clients of ours that have a dog that's like the size of a small horse.
I got some of those babies in my pack.
That would be one welcome, to the house. Like, hi, I'm looking at you right in the eyes.
Slobber.
Come let me show you around. So beyond selling a house, a lot of people go to great lengths to, have a nice backyard or something like that. So, let's switch gears from selling a house to buying a house. What are you looking for, possibly when you go to a house for your pet?
Excellent question. So I've moved into many homes in my career, and my dog is now 13 years old. But when she was a puppy and still very active, one of the things I looked for was a fenced-in yard, so that she can peacefully go out there, and that there was enough room for me to play with her. So it really is dependent on your pet.
Yep.
You might have one that's a bit of a couch potato, and that's totally fine. And others who are very excitable and need some energy burn. So those are some of the things that I look for. Is for me personally, is I know my dog. I know she's very energetic. She loves to play. So I want to be able to have an environment where I can do that for my dog.
Yep.
So now that she's 13, she's not as active, and I live in a condominium now. So we just go out for a walk. She's a bit of a diva now. She's like, it's too hot. I'm gonna go inside now, Mom. So a backyard is not necessary for her age anymore, because she really doesn't care. So she's a prissy paw now. So she goes. She wants to go inside. Like, no, it's too cold. It's too hot. So, but just depending, like, again, the personality of your dog, the energy of your dog, and what your goals are for your dog. It's like human kids. If your kids are running around, you want a nice backyard for them to play in the backyard. It's kind of the same way. What does your lifestyle look at that particular time?
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps.
Absolutely.
You talked about condos, how you live in one with your dog. What's your suggestion for people when they look for condos? If they do have a pet, what outdoor space should they be looking for, and what are some other things that go into looking for a condo when they own a pet?
So I can tell you from experience. So my dog is only about 40 pounds, which is about a medium-sized dog.
Okay.
She's a mutt, so I couldn't really compare it. Maybe like a standard-sized pit bull. So she's tiny, well, I call her snuggle size. So I think for my condo, she fits well. I've had a Great Dane in my condo. I've had a Great Dane come into my condo. She's so big. She's way too big for my condo. And
doesn't even sound fun.
And she
hazard.
gallops up the stairs because she loves hanging out on the third floor terrace so she gallops all the way in there, and then pawing at my screen door. So I'm like, oh my God, child. So I would not recommend a condo for a very large dog, especially one that's as energetic as that sweet Great Dane. But most condominium communities, like apartment communities, are regulated like apartments, where the dog does have to be leashed.
Yeah.
So you can't just let your dogs out running around as much as I wish they could. But you have to respect your neighbors, and that not all dogs, like humans, may not be as friendly or approachable. So even though mine is and wants to be best friends with the neighbor's dog, the neighbor's dog may be like, get away from me.
Yeah.
So we have to be respectful and mindful of that. So hopefully that answers your question when it comes to condominiums. Yeah.
So what about people that have pools in their backyard? What are some things you should think about in relation to your pet and that pool?
Oh man, so pools scare me.
Yeah.
Because especially
all dogs
if
swim, right?
No, not all dogs swim.
Okay.
No, that is such a misconception. Not all dogs swim, and some dogs are a lot heavier and a lot more dense, and they sink faster than some other dogs. So like my dog, she does the panic swim. She does not go past her shoulders in the water. She'll splish splash and chase waves, but she will not go swimming. And if she actually, when she was about 2 years old, I was at a friend's house at a pool, and she had some furry friends, and they were, racing towards her, and, these are like 80-pound labs, and they couldn't stop, and they bumped into her, and she fell in the pool. And of course, me, being a mom, I was like, oh my God, my baby! So she's doing this panic swim, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's gonna drown. So I'm like jumping in, trying to save her, because she's like, get me out of here, get me out of here.
Yeah.
So, and it's, if you have that kind of a dog, they're gonna tire out, and if you're not being mindful, and they can't figure out how to get out of the pool, your dog may drown. So, it's just like if you have human children, you want to make sure there's some kind of a barrier or something that would prevent them from accidentally falling into the pool. And if you're on the phone or doing whatever, you're not being mindful of what's going on. And they're like, what's in the pool? That's not maybe a good scene to see. So that'd be something to consider. If you're going to have a pool with your pets, I highly encourage and recommend to have some kind of barrier around it, especially if you're going to let your dogs out there unsupervised.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
What about doggy PDFs?
Or
PFDs, like
the life
flotation,
yeah.
like a life vest. When you see, dogs and those things in the pools.
Oh, I have one for mine.
You have one for
yours?
Yes, okay.
Yes, I do. So whenever we go on the lake on the boat, she panics when Mama gets on the floaty. I don't know why. So sometimes because in her panic, she'll end up falling off the boat, and she's gonna do that panic swim, and then I'm gonna be panicking. So I have her little life vest, her little doggy life vest, so just in case. Then I don't have to panic. I'm like, you're fine, you're on a floaty device.
Not gonna die.
So, you're fine. I definitely have my dog wear one. If you guys are gonna hang out in the pool, and if your dog is not a swimmer and you want your dog out there, I either supervise your dog really well, or B, just put a floaty on them, and that way, just in case they slip and fall, they'll be okay, and nobody has to panic all day.
They're not. It's not just sinking.
No, right.
A lot of dogs dig though in their backyards and everything. So
yes.
Do you have any way of preventing that, or what do you think is the dog's stress when they start to dig, or is it just from their energy, and how do you go about that?
It's terriers are known for digging, and that's just their natural instinct is to dig. So you're kind of trying to take that away from them. So, but it's just kind of a matter of, your training and finding them. Usually it's they have a lot of pent-up energy, so they gotta exert it some kind of way.
Yeah.
So their, natural instincts kick in and like, let's see what's going on here, and start digging for treasure, or looking for treasure. But mine, I know she's got some terrier in her. When she was young, she used to
dig.
Yeah, she used to dig a lot, and I'm like, are you digging Mama a pool? So, but I knew she just had so much pent-up energy in her, so I that was my cue of, okay, I need to exercise her. So, I would play with her and, take, a couple of laps around the neighborhood, and then she's tired. We're digging. So.
Yeah, because a lot of people spend a lot of time and put time and effort into their
into
yard.
their gardens.
Yeah, the next thing, they don't want
torn up.
Yeah.
There goes their. So, a lot of time is because they're bored.
Okay.
They're so bored. People think that because you have a backyard, surely the dog can entertain themselves. Well, yeah, by digging.
The entertaining part is that action, yeah.
You just thought you wanted that new bush right there. I'm going to move it for you.
It's just like your human child would be doing artwork on your wall. They're bored, so they're going to figure it out how to entertain themselves. So, look what I did for you, Mom. Digging a
Coming
pool.
back to a mess.
Yeah.
So I guess that same type of behavior, translates inside, right? When dogs get bored, dogs tear up things.
Right.
And so, a lot of times when we go to list a home, we're walking through and they've got pets and you're just kind of looking
Pillows
at
exploded.
Yeah, you're looking for the door, and whenever the door is scraped, you just know their dog was going to town for.
Oh yeah, they want to get out.
forever.
Yeah.
They want to get out. Yep. Same thing. They're bored. I have a couple of clients who their dogs stay in and they're just pent up with so much energy. And then when I go in to walk them, it's like they look at me like the pillow just exploded. I was just sitting here and poof. So I was like, well, let's not tell your mom. So let's go for a walk. No more pillows. So we just have to be mindful. And if you know that your dog is that way, I know mine was when she was a puppy. I was testing her out, and I left her by herself to see how she'd do. I come back, and she tore up my mini blinds from the bottom up.
Oh, gosh.
And I was renting, so I had to call my landlord. I'm like, I need to replace your mini blinds. So, but she was bored, and she didn't know what to do, so I started taking her to doggy daycare. Burn that energy, girl.
So a lot of pets, they need to get acclimated to their new home once the buyer decides to buy it, and that can kind of prompt a change in their behavior.
Yes.
When they move into the new house, what behavior changes do you often see, and what are ways for the home buyers to help get the dog familiar with the new area?
So I don't see this a lot in dogs, but I do see this a lot in cats. Cats will start marking. Because they're so unfamiliar with the area, they're a little stressed out because cats, dogs are too in some ways. It depends on the dog. Like, I've moved in so many places that my dog, I have such a close relationship with my dog that she'll jump over the cliff with me if I ended up doing that. So if I moved, every time I moved, we're going in, baby girl.
Here we go.
Here we go, Mom.
Hopefully that cliff has water.
Right.
Put the floaty on.
She's gonna panic swim. But she's my little ride or die, so she trusts me that anywhere I move, and she travels with me. So when we go to hotel rooms, she's fine. So I think it's really dependent on the dog's personality. But some things that you can do is just kind of set up an area where they can sniff familiar things like their bed, their bowls, or things like that, and give them time to kind of sniff around and get acclimated. And usually dogs do really well with the new area. Cats can sometimes get a little stressed out because they're so used to of what's going on, and they've had their favorite window and they've had their favorite things to do or not do. But I have seen where cats will start marking in certain areas or scratching the carpets or whatnot. So it's just, I would recommend the same thing as kind of setting up a little area of zen is what I like to call it. A little peaceful area where they can sniff their beds and, and it's kind of a familiar place just in a new environment, and they start getting used to it. So, yeah.
So But during that transition, do you think it's smart to like board your pets and get in the house and kind of settled for a day or so before you introduce them, or do you just want to bring them in while the movers are there and lock them in a room?
I've brought mine
Yeah.
with the movers, and again, it really depends on your dog, because if your dog is not exactly people friendly,
Yeah.
it may not be a good idea to, have them there while the movers are coming in to drop off your furniture. Mine will, supervise
I can see the movers doing
yeah,
that, right? Like, just get it in the house. Get away from this dog.
There goes the glass vase.
Right. Mine will supervise the movers, like, what's going on, guys? So, my dog was always with me, so she was sniffing around, and she's like, okay, but she loves people and she loves dogs, so it was, kind of easy, and she looks for me, and she's like, all right, Mom, we're good. But there might be some dogs that might not do well with other people, so that might be something that you need to consider, that if your dogs are not people friendly, you may need to either maybe place them in, if you've already set their area of zen, and just kind of, put them in their room and have them stay there while their movers do their thing, and then let them out whenever, they leave, and they can kind of explore, what are these new smells? I smell new humans in here. So that's usually what they'll focus on, is the new smells, because they hear and sense new humans, but they can't see them, and then once the door's open, they'll go figure out where they went. And they're out of the way. So, that usually helps. Or you can call your pet sitter and walk them around for a couple hours while the movers go in there. That's a great idea, too.
Keep the sales pitch going.
Right?
Call your dog walker. So I think we're kind of at the end of our questions here today, but what's a funny story? I mean, I'm sure you have lots of laughs while you're dealing with other people's pets.
Oh, man.
Well, what's a funny story, just so we can end on another really nice laugh here today?
On the spot, so if you don't have to.
I know. Now I'm like, oh gosh, where can I think about here? Well, I mean, all these pets have such unique personalities, and they all make me laugh. I like to play rough with the pets, especially the dogs. Cats, not so much. Although, depending on the cat, I do have one kitty who he's such a lover, but he'll let me spin him.
Yeah.
So, and they have wooden floors, so he'll just flop like a sack of potatoes, and I'm like, let's spin, baby, and I'll just spin him, and he's just like got his paws in the air. So then I'll stop him. He's like, I'm like, do you want some more? Okay. So I'll just continue spinning him or whatever. So, and then he's like, all right, I've had enough, and walks away. But I do like to play rough with him. So there's been times where me and the dog are just muddy from head to toe, and the parents walk in and they're like, what's going on? I'm like, it's his fault.
It's not me, it's your dog.
It's his fault. So I'll just see my way out through the back door. Love you, mean it. But that's why they love me more. So
I can see that happening. But that's a good reason to use your services, because then people that buy pets, right? They want that extra family member. Either it's company for as they're older, or they've got kids and they want kids to have the pet experience. But they also need to take into account that people work and they have busy schedules, and you can't always take Fido to the soccer field with you.
Right.
And they need that other attention so that they stay a good pet. And so hopefully lots of people will call you and you'll be even busier.
I mean, bring my babies. Give them to me.
Bring the babies.
I guarantee you they'll love me more. I'll try not to get muddied up.
Oh, gosh. Awesome. So, well, Ruby, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you guys.
George and I here. And,
it's such a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure talking to you every time we run into you. So, good luck, and if we can ever do anything for you, please let us know.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, gentlemen.
It's awesome.
The Cola Guys would like to thank Loveland Coffee for allowing us to record our episodes at their location in the heart of Irmo, South Carolina. They pride themselves with providing the best coffee, best customer service, and focusing on serving their community. If you're just looking to grab a mug to go, or stay and enjoy the ambiance, or purchase a bag of their roasted beans for home brewing, you can't beat Loveland Coffee. Thanks to Beach and his staff for all they do for their clients and the Irmo community.
Ruby Red's Petcare is an in-home pet care service company providing invaluable services for pet owners, especially those who travel frequently or have long work hours. They offer dog walks and play sessions, pet sitting services, pet transportation, and more. To learn about their awesome services, visit their website at rubyredspetcare.com.